Now this is 1 over r, 1 plus r over r. C1 equals y1 minus I1 plus 1 over 1 plus r times 1 over 1 minus 1 over 1 plus r times y minus I. And that in turn says 1 plus r over r. C1 is y1 minus I1 plus 1 over 1 plus r times 1 plus r over r, y minus I. So this cancels out. And let me check. So you have C1 is r over 1 plus r, y1 minus I1 plus 1 over 1 plus r, y minus I. This looks okay. Yep, here I got it. Okay, now this is a weighted average of y1 minus I1 and y minus I. Now, right, because if you, this is like theta, and this is 1 minus theta. Now, $1,000,000 question, is consumption period 1, is it higher or lower than consumption period 0? Well, $1,000,000 question. Well, so the question is C1 smaller than C? So is r over 1 plus r or let me write it this way. That was actually a good idea. I don't have always good ideas when I improvise, but this one was a good one. Is theta y1 minus I1 plus 1 minus theta y minus I, is this smaller than y minus I? Because that's steady state consumption. What do you think? Well, the question is theta y1 minus I1, is this smaller than, if we move this to the right-hand side, is this smaller than theta y minus I? So what do we know about the relationship between y1 and y? Right? Now, y1 is y1. Now, we have a y and we have an I. Okay. Life is not easy, right? Now, this thing here is smaller than y. And this thing here is larger than I. So we have something that's smaller than that, and we have something that's larger than that. So we have something smaller and we're subtracting something larger. So that's right. So in fact, we can't forget about that. This is in fact the case. And that makes sense, right? Because the drop in the capital stock in period 1 makes you poorer. And when we say poorer, it's not just, we always have to think in terms of the present value of income. And the present value of income has decreased because in period 1, output has gone down, right? And this is something that was in the infinite horizon model, it will never go away, right? That's the sad thing, right? This one-time shock is something that disappears. I mean, output goes up, but consumption drops to a permanently lower level. So just to draw the picture, right? We have those periods, and we have period 1, and we have period 2, and we have period 3. And so consumption was at the steady state level and then drops to this thing and then stays there forever. That's the logic of beta, right? This is C1. Now output this is 0. Output drops and then recovers in period 2 because of the investment, right? This is output and then stays there forever. Investment goes exactly, that's I, goes, this should all, sorry about the bad drawing here. If we, right, it goes down and then this stays here forever. This is output. And this is investment. Investment goes up and then goes down again and then stays there forever. Right? So we have consumption dropping, but not by as much as output. We have investment increasing. So what would you think intuitively will happen to the current account balance? So look at CA1. CA1 is S1 minus I1. What happens to savings compared to the steady state? Well, let me give you the answer. Savings goes down because you consume less, but in fact, your income drop is even bigger. So savings goes down. What happens to investment? It goes up. So what would you expect for the current account? To go down. Well, it goes down and it becomes negative because in the initial situation it was 0 because the country, there was no reason to have a current account surplus or deficit. So given that this shock was not anticipated, everything happens in period 1. So that's, now we have almost everything we need. The last thing I want to derive is the evolution of the current account because this is just the intuition. So you have an economy that is hit by this shock. Output goes down. Consumption doesn't go down by as much. That's the important thing. So if your income goes down, but your consumption goes down by less, then you may have negative savings. In fact, these are negative, savings are negative because these guys are borrowing to finance consumption in the face of the output shock. And on top of that, they borrow to finance the huge investment. So they have the two forces cooperating to drag down the current account balance. And now the last thing I want to do is to involve you in computing the evolution of the current account. And I do that by let me walk to this part. So what about B2?